Hello, I'm Atena and today I'm here with Michael Vascones. He is a health educator. She worked for the Institute, for the Hippocrates Health Institute, and he is a um, it's a very good coach. I know that he do a lot. I want to, Michael, thank you for being here. Please tell me more about you, what you do.
When I went through the Hippocrates program, that was the first step that I started to learn what coaching and mentorship really was. And then as I made it through that program, which was teaching us lifestyle medicine, uh, I went on to become like a life coach, which is a totally different element. And then through a lot of my journeying and seeking in the world, I found something called deep transformational coaching, which is made by a man called, his name is Leon Vanderpool. And deep coaching is very, very unique to itself. It's a very specific type of session. It's much different than all the other coaching I've ever learned in my life, but it's a beautiful, beautiful blend to add into the work that I do with people. So when people come to me for help, I typically say, I don't, your problems, yes, they're all different, but the root cause of all illness on the planet overall, from what I'm seeing, is we must detox our system, fill it with good nutrients from plant-based sources and clean water, and allow our organs and our energy systems to come back online. And as we do that, it is a total shift in spiritual evolution within inside of us. And that's what we use the deep coaching for, is to facilitate that process.
Beautiful. Michael, do you think I can be fully conscious if I don't detox my body?
Sure, everyone has different levels of toxicity in their system depending on their past. So it's really important to understand how we've been living. If someone's relatively has not been exposed to some things, their systems are going to be working great. But as you're noticing now in the modern world, our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, they started to fall apart around like 60, 70 years old is when they started to get a lot of what we call chronic illnesses. Yes. Now, my parents' generation, they hit the wall at like 50 years old. And now my generation, they're hitting a wall at like 30 years old, 40 years old, because of the toxicity in our food, our air, our water. And now you're seeing kids, very young kids with chronic health issues, and they get diagnosed with a name and they carry that the rest of their life. And the root cause of, once again, in my opinion, in all illness is we must clean the system. It's always the place to start, and then fill the system with proper nutrition so the systems can come back online. But specifically to your question, yes, depending on the person, they can be a very conscious person without needing to detox if they're living a safe kind of mellow life,
And if I don't?
And if you don't what?
If I don't live in the...
Oh, then yes, detoxification, 100% necessary for, I would say, like 98% of the planet.
Yes.
Yeah. It's unless you're living, for people that grew up in a land where you were living a very natural lifestyle, but even, the Western world's creeping its way into all areas of the planet, and you see cultures that were healthy. Now they're drinking soda, they're eating the corn-fed candy and the corn-fed treats, and they've adopted the Western diet, and diabetes is making its way into even some of the indigenous cultures, and all this stuff is happening. It just goes to show you that, the way that we're doing things isn't conducive to the human evolution at all.
Yes. I want to talk with you about water. What is the best water to drink?
This is a huge debate, and
Yes.
it always depends on who you talk to. And I always like to go to the method that's been around for a long time. You know, if I talk to an 80, 90-year-old person and they're clear in their eyes and they're healthy and their mind is sharp and they look good and they look 20, 30 years younger than what they are, I normally will listen to that person over a doctor or anyone that has a degree or they're trying to sell me on something, no matter how much science is backed up by that person. And I kind of rest my hat on distilled water. One, because it's so cheap and no one makes money off of it other than, you know, buying a water distiller that will last you, you know, one machine can last you 20 years or more if you take care of it. So there's no money really in it like some of these other things out there. And I personally have been drinking distilled water for like 7, 8 years now, probably. Blood work is fine. I'm good. Um, Now, I've also, the reason I stick to distilled water is because I personally have never delved into a lot of these other things on the market, like changing the alkalinity of your water and all this type of stuff, because I think the root cause of water issues is the purity of the water, is what's in the water.
Yes, I think that.
And I do not think human beings are actually designed to need as much water as the modern human being is, but because of the diet that we have, you know, most people are on cooked food diets. They're not eating any vegetables and fruits, which are 90% water in nature. You know, if we lived on water bred foods like fresh fruits and vegetables, I don't even think we would need to drink really any much water at all. But because we're dehydrated creatures, we drink so much water, and if what we're drinking is not pure, it is going to damage us a lot. Our kidneys are going to be clogged up, our liver is going to be burdened, our stomach is going to have residue in it, our joints and our body just becomes taxed from this water that we're drinking. And so I kind of rest my hat on distilled water. And, you know, I actually have a book here. I don't exactly know where it is, but I have a book. It's called The Choice is Clear, and it's written by Dr. Bannock. It's a very cheap book. Anybody can get it on Amazon. And it's just the raw reasons on why distilled water is the way that he is. He's a doctor that worked with people for years, and he shows a lot of his own anecdotal evidence on drinking distilled water with his patients. I think it's a really good book for people to read that are kind of hung up on some of all the other water theories out there.
I think this is the people, they want to change so much. They know that the vegetable, the sprouts are okay, but when they hear about distilled water, they are scared. I drink for 13 years only distilled water, and I'm perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I only recommend distilled water. Uh, Michael, tell me, what is the best detox? How can I do a good detox? What I need to do?
Whoever comes to me for help, I have a lot of people that come to me, and typically they find me after they've tried a lot of things, you know, because the stuff that I recommend is generally uncomfortable and it's way out of the box. Like no one's being told this stuff, even though it's in our world, it's very natural to me. But the first step that I think all human beings should be doing is they start adopting in a colonic and enema schedule into their life. And that's the first step that I do with my clients is I teach them how to do enemas. There's a wide range of different types of enemas that you do. You know, at Hippocrates, you learn about the wheatgrass implants. You can also do wheatgrass enemas. Coffee enemas, Dr. Gerson brought them into his protocols. And depending on, you know, the type of person you are, and I've had great success with coffee enemas, helping the livers dump and cleaning your liver, but not everyone can do coffee enemas depending on how sensitive they are. But you can do a lot of different type of enemas, or just plain old warm distilled water enemas, and really get the bowels cleaning, your colon. Once your colon is cleaned, only once your colon is relatively cleaned and you start having better bowel movements, can you start to move into some liver cleansing, some parasite cleansing, some heavy metal cleansing, things like that, gallbladder flushes, liver flushes. But this really can't happen if a person is constipated, because you'll do more harm than good. So enemas and colonics are always step one.
How many I need? How many colonics or enema I need to do?
It really depends on the person. But overall, I think if someone would get one colonic, let's just say a relatively okay person, doesn't really have any issues, they think they're good, they don't think they need anything, I would say one enema a month and one colonic a month. If you can do that, you're going to be good. For someone that's sick, that has brain fog, they have achy joints, they're sick, they've been labeled with whatever you want to call it. They've been labeled with lupus, MS, Lyme disease, whatever else is out there. That type of stuff that, just a name for a group of symptoms. Start doing an enema every single day for like 3 or 4 weeks and start moving into colonics. 100%. You can't really overdo it. With just water enemas and even coffee enemas. Dr. Gerson was doing 3 coffee enemas a day for his really sick patients, for a period of, I think, 3 weeks. So you really can't overdo it unless you really try to. So people don't need to fear that if they do an enema every single day. I mean, at Hippocrates on their protocols, they do an implant every single day for 3 weeks, followed by a water enema. So it's not something you're going to harm yourself. It's an ancient technique to clean your colon, that they've been doing enemas, colon hydrotherapy, for hundreds of years. It just was done a little differently. Obviously, they didn't have the technology we have now. But cleaning your sigmoid colon out is a lot of where the toxins and parasites can lie. I've had patients do one enema, one coffee enema or one type of enema, and I've seen huge worms come out. I've seen all sorts of stuff come out of people after just one go. And the more that you do it, you learn how to massage your colon. You start taking special supplements and herbs that start to clean out your small intestine so it dumps into that large intestine. You start to get some really crazy stuff come out of you.
Yes. When I finish the enema, what can I do to clean my body?
You mean other type of detoxes?
Yes.
I think a liver cleanse, it would be my next step with most people. The liver is essentially our filter for our everything. When our liver is slow and clogged and damaged, we are going to be damaged overall. And I personally felt extreme fatigue for a lot of years in my life. And I kind of put the 2 and 2 together through, what I learned, a ton of research, and my own personal evolution. Yes. When I came out of the military and, I'm covered in tattoos, which are really hard on your liver. I don't recommend them to anybody. The alcoholism that most people have in their life, the steady drinking, the steady bad foods, the stuff that we're getting shot into our body on a regular basis, the chemical medications, it's all destroying our liver. And when I started to do liver cleanses myself, I had hundreds of gallstones come out of me. I even had some gallstones come out of me. Like they were the size of grapes or even golf balls. And I was absolutely blown away by that process. So I came across a really, really powerful liver cleanse that I do with almost anyone that wants to really detox with me. And enemas are a part of the process. You really want to make sure that you don't leave any of that residual stuff in your body after you do the cleanse. But I would say after you have a colon, you understand how to do enemas, because it's also getting good at them. You really connect with your body and you learn You like it, it's like a connection now. And then sometimes you'll know you need to do an enema. Like your body will think about it. At the first sign of getting sick, a sniffle, a headache, any type of achiness, do an enema. The body will transport whatever toxin is in your body that's causing the symptom into your colon. That's what it's designed to do. And then you just want to get it out as much as possible. But as for the liver cleanse, it is the liver's everything. It's our filter. Once we get that clean, all the other organs start to boot back online. Even our vision can get better, everything.
What is the protocol for the liver cleanse?
The liver cleanse I do is developed by a guy in I don't know if he personally developed it, but the company is called Physician Standard, and it's a 4-part cleanse. It has something called Periclears, which is different types of ozonated oils. And you do an implant with that, and you also take it orally. There is a ozonated magnesium that you take that helps start to stir up the small intestine and the large intestine to really make sure that you're going to be able to evacuate everything that gets released. It really gets the bowels moving in a very healthy and gentle way. And then you drink the typical, on most liver cleanses that you do, there's a grapefruit and olive oil drink that you drink. It's not fun to do. You are nauseous for most of the day as it's passing through your body. But there is also a liver detox drink that you drink with it that is full of amino acids and other type of things to support the body. And as the bile ducts start to open, it really just will break loose those gallstones, and it works amazing. And I would recommend an average person, if you're not feeling well, if you have a chronic illness and you're suffering in life and you don't know where to go, try to get 5 to 6 of these cleanses in you in a year, and you will have a turnaround. If you can dedicate your life to it, and you can do one every week or one every 2 weeks for 5 times in a row, you'll have dramatic results. I did 4 or 5 of them in about a 6-month period of time, and I'm still continuing. It takes a while because it's a lot of energy on your body, and it is a toll in itself on the system to reboot. But if you give yourself proper nutrition and drink good juices and clean water and rest after that period of time, your body will boot back on, and you're just things change for you in a very positive way.
What tattoo do to our body? You did the tattoo before that you knew
Yeah,
this,
once I
no?
woke up to my health, I call it health consciousness. Once we kind of like wake up to, oh my God, this is my body. I only have one of them, and it's like my vessel for life. We're souls inside of a body. Is when I stopped getting tattoos. I kind of woke up to it. And tattoos are 3rd-degree burns. They're painful for the body, and they're filled. I mean, who knows what's in it, right? It's ink going into the largest organ on our body, which is our skin.
Skin.
And our liver processes everything that goes into our body. Everything. Things that we breathe goes into our skin, goes into our eyes, goes into our ears, goes into our mouth. Every single thing our liver must do to clean our blood. So I do not recommend, if you want to get 1 or 2 tattoos, I mean, is it going to affect you? Who knows? Like, yes, it's gonna, but it depends, whatever. But for a person like me, I have probably 30-40% of my body covered in tattoos. I would 100% stay away from it. And if you're sick, do not get any more tattoos. Like, be done with them, because some people can get addicted to them. It's like something that you just do on a regular basis. You're hurting yourself, whether you want to believe it or not. I don't care what the tattoo artist tells you, that it's safe ink or whatever. It is a bunch of baloney. They are not good for you at all. Your body does not like them. And if you want to be connected to your body, don't hurt your body.
Mm-hmm.
Your body has to trust you. It's important. Your body has its own intelligence. And when you connect into that intelligence, your body will tell you what's good for you and what's not. And that's part of the consciousness. When we start to wake up to a more pure reality, we become in touch with that intelligence, and your body will let you know what it wants to eat that day. Your body will let it know, maybe that fruit that I ate yesterday isn't, your body doesn't want it today. Or maybe, your body wants different things. Your body will start to tell you, but it does not want a tattoo.
And the tattoo, it's a scar. It's a
It
scar.
is.
You have
Yeah.
30% scar in your body.
Hmm.
And today you are what you are today, you will be other tomorrow, and you don't like what like yesterday.
It's very true. I personally am to a place now where I don't even see my tattoos. Like, I'm in a different place. I don't see them anymore. But a lot of people still comment on them and things like that because I have so many, and I forget that I even have tattoos sometimes because I really am a different, like, I'm far away from that guy that used to get them. But yeah, what you get on your body is a permanent imprint of a very temporary feeling or thing, and it is the past that you're going to bring with you no matter what it is. And it's all about being in the present moment. And tattoos, kind of, in a way, are they can be, you want to put your pain for some reason that's inside of you, you want to wear it like a suit of armor or something like that. It's like, well, I want to remember that person that died and put them on my body, or something tragic I went through, or something I like. And you're an ever evolving spiritual being, and to get that on you, um you know and tattoos can be very beautiful, and they're a part of culture a lot of time too. But you have to understand that I'm really referring to guys like me who get a lot of tattoos. If you want to go get one thing, I think your body is going to be able to recover from it just fine. But getting sleeves and my legs and all that, you're down the road, it's going to affect you.
I saw a guy that put his story in the face, all the story, his story.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't have any tattoo, and I'm very happy because
But
I had one time I wanted to do.
hey, we have free choice in this world. We can do whatever we want.
Yes, yes. What do you think, Michael, about juice fasting?
I personally did a 96-day juice fast one time, and my wife did a 112-day juice fast.
Wow.
That was the longest one that we did, and we had amazing, amazing results. My wife actually was able to heal some digestive issues that no one could figure out. Literally
Wow.
no one. And if you do it right, you won't lose any weight. You won't become skinny, because the way that we did our juice fasting is, it actually wasn't a fast. It was actually a feast. So I went 96 days without any solid food, and I barely lost any weight.
Wow.
Because I may have lost, like, I probably lost a little less, or maybe 10 pounds, but that's not much. If that would have been, I did an 18-day fast one time of just water, and I lost, 25 pounds, So what we did is we dedicated a small period of time in our life to just juice. We call it juice feasting. And it was expensive. It was a financial commitment, and we knew what we were doing, but I probably drank a gallon of juice a day, maybe more, because I didn't want to lose weight. I didn't want to slip into the fasting realm that your body goes into. And if people want to do that, that's fine, but it's not sustainable for 96 days. And I was still living my life. I was still going to the gym, but I lived on juice for 96 days, and my digestive system had a break from solid food for 96 days. My wife did 112 days, and it was a tremendous shift in our body. And I think our lives changed so much during that period of time. We don't really have words for it. There's a spiritual side to this stuff too, that when you let go of your digestive system, and you take a break from food, you realize how addicted to food we are. You know, we as human beings, it, half the battle is realizing not what to eat, but like we eat too much, period. We do not need nearly as much food as we're putting in our system. And that is personally the hardest thing for me, because I'm fine with what to eat, but overeating is just as detrimental to the body as what you're eating.
Yes.
So if 2 bananas is all my body needs, but I eat 4, that is burdening. That's a burden for my system. It's all about consciousness for the self and who you are. So when we went through that period of time, we were able to disconnect, and it's like we stepped away from the world. It was really interesting because everywhere we went, we had juice with us. We had a cooler of juice, and we spent 2 hours every single day juicing for the day. And we had big boxes of celery and lettuce and spinach and lemons and apple. And so we disconnected from the world. It was like we were in a different realm almost. And for 3 months, when we didn't eat with people, if we went to a restaurant, we had a juice. It was like we were in a different world. And it really allowed us to see, like, wow, you know, so when we came back to food, you know, it takes you a while to come back to eating normally again. That's a self-control element in itself, but amazing results. But people must realize what they're getting into. And just because you watch a YouTube video of somebody that did it doesn't mean that you do have to know what you're doing. And I do recommend that anyone who wants to do a prolonged juice fast or cleanse or feasting or however you want to do it, that you do work with somebody, because if you come back to food the wrong way, you will hurt yourself.
Yes.
You will. You can damage yourself and you don't even know it. And it takes kind of a mental and emotional thing to work through it with somebody too. Because if you say on 2 weeks go into it and you decide to binge on something, you know, which happens a lot. Somebody just can't take it anymore, and they go out and they get a bowl of meatballs or pasta, or even people that are plant-based, they'll just go binge on, you know, a plant-based something. You're going to mess yourself up. So it's important to know what you're doing.
How many liters? Because I don't know how a gallon
Liters.
what is. How many
Well,
liters
a quart is a little bit less than a liter. So I was drinking 4 or 5 liters a day.
Wow,
Of
4 or
juice.
5. And it was green juice?
Green juice, fruit juices, anything. It was primarily, we were doing like a lemon ginger blast type of, I don't know if you ever heard of that recipe from Lou
Yes.
Corona. It was typically like, I did a lot of parsley and cilantro drinks, celery, cucumber, apple, lemon. We were juicing everything, beets,
Wheatgrass
carrots.
or sprouts? You
We
had?
weren't growing sprouts at that time when we were juice feasting.
Okay.
That came later. But yeah, I mean, the juice that Hippocrates green juice is probably the best juice on the planet. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you don't felt hungry, you don't feel that you need to. What you do when you feel hungry?
The hunger will subside after about 7 days. It goes
7
away.
days.
But you do, first couple days, you're gonna feel that empty stomach feeling hard.
And
Yep.
how it was for you the first 7 days?
It wasn't hard for me because at that point, after doing the water fast that I did,
Yes. Yes.
to be honest, I understand those realms, because you change realities. Like like people that have never fasted, you know, the 3 to 5 day fasts, but when you get into those longer terms of separation, things change. So the juice was like a blend between the two worlds. It was actually we had a great time. My wife and I, we got really close because we spent 2 hours a day, like juicing and jars, and your life just becomes like nothing else matters other than your juice. It's very interesting what happens. So it was very fun. We had a great time doing it.
Yes. You are vegan 100%
100% plant-based. Yes. Mhm.
plant-based. Okay. And how many raw? What
I was
percent?
fully raw for 2 years,
2 years.
Hippocrates diet, and it was amazing. And then I went through a pretty intense, actually kind of emotional thing in my life. And I went back into eating cooked food and everything. And I really I lost my shit with food at one point after all of that. I really went down a weird place. I went through something and it was really interesting. But essentially what happened for me was all my issues with food came to the surface and I had to deal with them all. And we do not realize how emotional eating is. Eating is 99% emotional. It really is. So I realized I had a lot of things inside of me that I was suppressing. And when all that stuff came up, it was nuts. I lost it for a little bit. But past year I'm really grounded again, and I wouldn't say I'm 100% raw at all anymore. The 80% realm is about where I'm at, but I I want to go get back into that 100% raw, but I do not want to resist anything. I'm only doing what I want to do. It's a different energy. One day I know I'll be there, but if I want to eat something, I do it. I don't say no, I'm 100% raw. I don't eat that anymore. It's just I know that like one day I'll be there. So, but for really right now, what I'm working on, even more than the raw versus cooked or whatever, is eating less
Wow.
and enjoying that lightness in your stomach that makes you want to keep eating. That is something I'm learning to embrace more and to bring into my life. And it's interesting because it's very healing. I already feel it's just eat less. It's something, a whole nother thing I'm focusing on that I never really focused on before. When
Beautiful.
I was raw, I ate a lot of food, but it was raw
Yes.
because I was suppressing that. I never wanted to feel that empty, hungry feeling. So I was eating, a lot of raw food, but it was still too much. Now I'm in that realm of I'm not 100% raw, but I'm eating not nearly as much as I used to. And I'm not losing weight. I'm learning that I have more energy.
How
Very interesting.
many meals do you eat a
It's
day?
different every single day. I've been experimenting with like more of a liquid diet, like smoothies and juices and like one meal a day, like type of one heavy meal a day. That's kind of like where I'm at now.
What do you think about 3 meals and two things, little things that we need to eat 5 times a day? What do you think about that?
I think it's an old methodology that doesn't, once you really tap into a different way of living, and people are waking up to that, it just doesn't make sense to always be eating.
Yes.
And I think the biggest thing is since we've been kids, because our parents didn't know any better, that they would always ask you, "Are you hungry? Are you hungry?" And we got so used to, "Oh, my stomach's empty. It's time for me to eat," as a kid. And we've been imprinted with breakfast is, I'm sorry, it's not good for anybody. I don't, unless somebody has a severe case of diabetes and their system can't handle any type of blood sugar spikes, then they
Yes.
can implement like a small, like relatively like good protein into the morning, like maybe a quinoa or some chlorella or something like that. But once their body gets cleaner and their kidneys and liver start to get cleaned out, they don't need breakfast anymore. It just takes some time to get there. But breakfast is not good at all. It's very damaging, and eating late at night isn't good. And I still work on the nighttime thing, because sometimes I do coaching with groups all over the country till really late at night, and I dealt with some really emotional stuff. Like sometimes I deal with some very traumatic things with people, and I'm emotional when I'm done, and I want to eat something. It's like it's very normal. But we just have to be aware of what we're doing. So no, people, we do not need to be eating all the time at all. We need to embrace that empty stomach feeling. And we equivalate hunger to the empty stomach. Just because your stomach is empty does not mean you're hungry. Hunger is something that most people have never experienced. Hunger is your body craving, like it's in a state of hunger. We don't ever let our bodies get into that. Just because our stomach is empty and we're lightheaded because our body is actually detoxing when our stomach is empty, we call that, oh, I'm starving. Like, no, we must choose the words that we create our reality with, because you're not starving. If you ever met someone that was starving, you would say to yourself, I'm not starving. You haven't eaten in 5 hours. You're fine. So we must talk to ourselves differently too. It's important.
Yes. What's happened in our body when my stomach is empty? What's happened in my body?
Really good things. Your stomach is cleaning itself. And the Chinese, they have a clock, the Chinese healing clock, and it shows a system of how your body moves energy and cleans each organ when the stomach is empty. Our body only cleans itself when your stomach is empty, because 80% of your body's energy goes to digestion. So if your stomach is never empty, your body is compromised. So going to bed on an empty stomach is so important, because it's your rest and rehabilitation and repair time. And most people, they go to eat so they can sleep. And this is asking for chronic illness. This is asking to be depressed. This is asking to be not happy. And because you are depressed, you are pressing everything down, yes, with the energy that you're putting into your life. And when your stomach is empty, your systems can then heal themselves. It's very important. It's a journey that when you start to work with it, you will become your own doctor with just how you eat and how much you eat, or when, with the times that you're eating. I have a lot of people that come to work with me, and they think the first couple sessions that they're with me, it's all going to be about me telling them what to eat. And they're so confused when they're done working with me, because typically the first or two sessions with me, I don't care what you're eating. Like, keep eating that, because you're going to change on your own. But we go over how to eat and when to eat, and the emotional component to eating. And they never put a lot of the 2 and 2 together. And then after a while, when we change the window that you're eating to where you don't have a 15-hour window to eat anymore, you're eating between, let's say, like 10 a.m. and 5 or 6 p.m. You're gonna start to change what you eat anyway. And then if I tell you to drink a juice every day or a smoothie in the morning, then you only have a 6-hour window of choosing what to eat. But then I have you maybe taking some chlorella and enzymes, and then I want you to eat a nice salad every day. And then I say, okay, eat whatever you want outside of that. You're not going to have time or space or even want to eat anything other than that. So it's when and how we eat is very important.
Yes. Tell me more about chlorella. I love chlorella.
It's a beautiful algae from the sea, and it's I think it's like 80% protein by composition. So it's a very powerful food. It's filled with trace minerals. It's Hippocrates was really big on it, and it's just you start taking chlorella you on a regular basis, a good quality chlorella, not some of these bogus stuff that's out there. You want a good quality brand.
What is
And
the best brand?
I use Premier Research Labs or
Okay.
use the Life Give stuff from Hippocrates. And that's pretty much on the only brands that I use because they have everything that I ever need. I don't really look for anything else because I know that it's high quality at that place and I don't really need to look elsewhere. But if you start taking chlorella instead of a meal, or you use it to substitute yourself in the transition away from, if you're feeling that empty stomach feeling and you getting a little lightheaded because, that will pass after a couple times, start taking eat chlorella, just take it. And you'll feel more clear and you'll be able to control yourself a little bit more with your cravings.
Yes. Many people, when they don't eat, when they do the detox, when they do the fast, and in the first day, 1, 2, 3 days, they don't feel well. They
Mm-hmm.
feel sick
Yeah.
and they are scared. What do you want to tell them?
It's normal.
It's
If
normal.
you're feeling unwell the first couple days when you're fasting, it is because you are unwell. It is because what's coming out is what's inside of you. If you were extremely healthy, you could fast without feeling unwell, without getting like I did when I did my fast. I got to a point where I could barely walk because if I would
The
stand up
same.
too fast, I would
Yes.
almost pass out because my adrenal glands were so bad, so tanked from my time in the military and all the medications and stuff that I did. My adrenal glands were shot. And when my adrenal glands started to heal, around, I think it was like that 10-day, 12-day mark, I felt like there were two knives in my back over top of my kidneys. And I knew it was my adrenal glands healing. And then after a while, the dizziness started to go away and it shifted to a different part in my body. So if you're feeling that way, the first 5 days on any type of juice fast or cleanse or whatever you're doing, it's always the hardest. It's always breaking through that not feeling well. You're going to have a headache, you're all that stuff. It's all good stuff. It's your body doing what it's got to do to heal.
Yes.
And
How was you?
if we
Yes.
ever get really sick, if we ever get sick, the best thing that you can do is stop eating.
Yes.
The best thing. Just takes a lot of self-control because when you're sad and you're sick, you want to eat. Growing up as a kid, I would have the flu or the stomach bug, and my mom was giving me Sprite, crackers, and, because that's what her mom did. It's all they know. If you're sick and nauseous, stop eating. You'll get better twice as fast, 3 times as fast.
How was your lifestyle before, Michael?
It was crazy. It was insane. I was an insane binge drinker with alcohol. I ate whatever. I was in the military, so when I was in Afghanistan, I lived on food that had a shelf life of like 10 years or more. And when we were home, I lived a very anxious, hectic life. I was always drinking and eating whatever I wanted. And I was very abusive to my body, very hard on my body. I was fighting. I was a boxer and martial artist, so I did a lot of harm to my body as well. And spiritually, emotionally, I was a mess, which is a huge part of your physical body too. I had a lot of issues going on in my life from some of my experiences, and I hit a wall when I was 26 years old. I got so sick I could barely walk. If I was sleeping like 18 hours, 20 hours a day. and nobody could figure out what was wrong. I saw every single doctor there is. No one could figure it out. And the bottom line of it is my body was full of bad things. And my mind was full of bad things. So when I started to detox my body, I started to detox my mind, started to detox my spirit, and I slowly was able to get better. Learned a lot along the way. Yeah, definitely did.
Wow.
I was a binge eater too. I would eat an entire pizza by myself. You know, I had a ripped stomach. I was 185 pounds. Everybody would say I want to look like that guy, but I was dying on the inside. Like, so just because you look like a guy on a magazine, they're not healthy. It's not healthy to look like that. Human beings aren't meant to be like look a certain way. You know, we're meant to just you can get strong, but when you focus on the outward appearance and you do whatever it takes to look a certain way, you're damaging yourself. And we're programmed with that. Women too. Women get it. I mean, men get it. It's both sides, but women get it a lot, you know.
What do you think about breast implants and all that thing that
Horrible.
do
Horrible,
women
horrible,
now?
horrible. Oh my gosh. I have had some women come to me with problems, and I know like inside, and I mention it to them, but they don't want to hear it. I know that it's from breast implants because most of them leak. Most of them, your body has a foreign object inside of it. Your immune system is compromised. It is going to be fighting that internal infection for the rest of their lives. And it's on top of lymphatic tissue. And if a woman ever decides to go have a child, the most important thing you can do for your child is to breastfeed them. And it damages those tissues. I know you can still breastfeed with implants, but if you think about it just from a logical perspective, it makes no sense at all. And we have sexualized a woman's body. Two, I guess they're not considered organs, but two parts of a woman's body that is meant for feeding a child, we have turned into sexual objects and turned into this whole thing for the male. And if women only knew that to focus on that like that, they're being pawns to create money and to create this whole side of life that is not healthy for a human being. It's very dysfunctional, very disruptive, and I would say 100%. I mean, it's not even an option, you know. But
Yes.
you know, if you look at some of the other cultures that have never been imprinted by how we have as a society, they would never even think about doing that. You know, it just doesn't make sense.
We are perfect, just
Yeah.
the way we are.
Yeah.
Without tattoo, without implants, without any.
Yep, we are. Yeah.
um,
It's funny, my wife about 4 years ago, she wears no makeup. She doesn't the soaps and the shampoos and all of that, cut that out. And people are always asking her, "What do you put on your skin? You know, what do you do?" And literally, she does absolutely nothing.
mhm.
And I get actually, one thing I do have is really nice skin. Like my skin's always been like real smooth. It's just a natural thing for me, I guess. But people are always asking, you know, like, what do you guys do for your skin? And we're like, nothing. You know, it's all about what you put into your body. If you look in our shower, no soaps and no shampoos. And people are like, well, don't you like smell or whatever? And I'm like, no, because it's all about if you smell, then it's because you're eating the wrong foods.
You only wash it with water?
I do. Yes. Only water.
I did this for many time, but my hair, I have a natural shampoo from the institute, but The hair, you wash it only with water?
Yeah, I mean, I have long hair too.
Yes.
I think my wife sometimes might use like what you have, like a natural shampoo, but me, I don't use any. I just use water. It does it I went through a phase of it being really weird, but it cleans itself after a while, and I don't have a problem with it anymore. But it was interesting to make that transition. But if you're going to use the shampoo, it has to be, if you can eat it, then use it in your hair. And if you look at the shampoos that like Hippocrates uses or some of the other plant based, you can pretty much eat it, and you won't get sick. I'm not saying you can go down a bottle of shampoo and not get sick, but if you look on the back of it, it's all very pure natural stuff, because this our hair absorbs, people don't realize it absorbs everything that we put into it. And some of these women, they have headaches and they have all these random issues, but they're getting their hair dyed all the time. Or you look at the shampoos that are on the common marketplace, it should be illegal. It should literally be illegal to put that stuff on the human body. And it's not.
Yes. What about perfumes? What perfumes do to our body, and the plastic clothing?
Mm. Perfumes, I would say, and cologne is up there with tattoos and all of that. It is so detrimental to the body,
Yes.
for a few reasons. There is one is because you're always wearing it, right? Most people, they're in a habit where they get up in the morning and they go throughout their day. So 95% of their life, they're breathing in a toxic chemical that bypasses the blood-brain barrier of your body and goes straight to your brain.
Yes.
These chemicals are so bad for the body. I mean, you're asking for issues down the road. It's really bad. Dementia, Alzheimer's, all of these things, neurological disorders. Not to mention, 70% of the planet is on a pill they go to the doctors because they're not feeling well. And they have all these different symptoms. And these colognes and perfumes I'm to the point now where I don't hug people, I don't touch people. I ask them, are you wearing cologne? And I say I'm allergic, because I am. We all are. And I don't, if somebody's in the car, if they're about to get in the car with me and we have an hour drive ahead of us and they have perfume on, I say I can't drive with you. I'm so open and bluntly honest about it. I don't care.
I feel the same. I feel the same. I cannot take that perfume. I feel the same because I have
There
so many years without the chemical, and I feel it.
you people don't even realize what they're doing to themselves. And there's one element to it that isn't really talked about too much. And when a man and a woman, they come together, romantically, we have pheromones. A woman smells a certain way and a man smells a certain way. And those pheromones you actually can't even smell. You don't even realize that you're smelling them. It's an attraction process with the male and the female. And they're designed biologically for you to be attracted to a certain, type of body or whatever. And when we wear these horrible chemical scents and it covers up our pheromones, you're missing out on a huge biological attractiveness to your partner that you never knew about. So you don't even realize that your wife or girlfriend or partner or vice versa, husband or whatever, you're missing an attraction, a deep biological connection with that person, because you're always scenting yourself out, and it's sad because it's part of the human experience. And it's an amazing thing that can happen, that you like know you pick up on your wife's scent even though there is no scent, because you just know it's like a sensory thing. And it's a big thing that can bring you very close. It's almost a spiritual thing in a way too, because it stimulates the brain and emotions with what you're used to being around. And most people don't ever get to experience that. It's a bummer.
What about plastic clothing?
If you can't eat it, don't wear it. I mean, you can't go eating cotton, but if it's just a,
But
you
it's
know,
nature. It's a plant.
yeah, exactly.
Not
And like this company here in America, it's called Pact. It's all my clothes, 100% cotton. 100 I try to stay vegan with all my clothes. I know they have wool. If I do buy wool, we researched the company to make sure that the sheep was sheared in a way where they weren't harmed at all. We're very careful. We very rarely buy wool. I can't remember the last time I did, but if we do, we look at the company very closely. But typically we stick with cotton or bamboo or things like that. 100% cotton. They have organic cotton now. It's exploding all over the world, which is really good. And you will feel such a difference, because our skin is the biggest organ on our body, and what we're covering it up with is so important. If I put a shirt on and it's 50% polyester, I get hot, I get annoyed, and if I get pissed off at the person, like that, like it's like I just start to get pissed off, and I know that I'm wearing something that isn't good. And baby clothes, oh my gosh, it's 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 a tragedy what we're doing to babies, because I think part of the problem why children can be so loud and they're crying all the time and they're not happy and they're fidgety or like whatever's going on with them is because they're wrapped up in a blanket filled with fire retardant and chemicals and plastic and urethane and whatever else they're putting in baby clothes these days. I think it's a tragedy. And I think it's a big problem and a big part of why parents have problems with having a calm, quiet baby, is because of what their environment is. Baby just comes out of a womb and you're going to put it in something that the body doesn't like. And then if you're wearing perfume and the dad's wearing perfume and you have air fresheners in your house and you're spraying Febreze down your hallway, that poor baby is not going to be happy. So, yeah.
which are the food and the best herbs for detoxification?
Well, you want to start with the herbs that'll get your bowels moving. Like, there's a bunch of different herbs that'll get your bowels moving. I really like the magnesiums and the O2 cleanses. And then once after that, you get into the chelators, the things that'll help remove the heavy metals out of your system. Parsley and cilantro, like really strong parsley and cilantro drinks will really help pull some stuff out of your body. Every herb has its very strong, like dandelion leaves are very, very bitter, and bitter is always a detoxification. Like parasites don't like it. They clean the system, they clean the kidneys. All the herbs are bitter and they're better for you. Bitter is better. And so, good quality herbs, you just want to make sure that you're getting a good quality source, that whatever type of herbal supplement you are taking. And sprouts, they're not really considered a herb, but sprouts, as we were taught, they are. Once you put sprouts into your life, your life gets better. Not just like a little sprinkle. I mean, like you eat sprouts. Yeah.
Tell me
Like my
more about
favorite
sprouts.
sunflower sprouts. I can
I
eat
love it.
them. Eat a
Tell me
handful of them and
more.
you're good.
Tell me more about sprouts. What is so good about sprouts?
The best thing about sprouts, besides the nutritional content and the overall protein content to weight, and they're also full of water and they have enzymes in them and phytochemicals and all this, all that type of amazing stuff. The greatest thing about sprouts is that when you eat them, they're still alive. So the biophotonal energy that plant has, it's still living when you eat it. It's on the frequency level. This is beyond nutrition. This is something that not a lot of people talk about. Hippocrates, is my opinion, they're like leading the way in it. It's all about frequency. How alive is your food that you're eating? And it's a totally different dimension of, most people aren't even aware of it. They're like, oh, how much protein? How, what's in it? A whole other level is the glowingness and how much beautiful divine energy is in the food that you're eating. So that's a whole other topic and a whole other area, and nothing on the planet gets close to sprouts.
Yes, the light that have the sprouts, beautiful.
Yes.
Tell me, please, if I want to do a 10 days juice fasting, 10 days. You recommend 7 days, 14 days, or it's okay to do 10 days? I can do 10 days.
However long that you do it, when you break the fast, when you break whatever you're doing, for every 3 days that you do it, it's going to take, so if you did it for 10 days, that's going to be 3 or 4 days until you're back to eating regularly again, extra. So the first day that you break it, it might be just juice and then some fruit. The next day, it might be a juice and a little bit more fruit and maybe like a vegetable. And then that third and fourth day is blending all that back into your life, slowly, eating slowly. If you're eating cooked food, a little bit, even a salad, that's far different from it's got a lot of different things in it. You're probably putting a dressing on it. Save that until like the fourth day. Maybe eat a mono meal with some cucumbers, or if you want to eat a carrot, you like mono stuff until you are back into the swing of things.
Yes, the best. Tell me the difference between cooked food and raw food.
Dehydrated, it's been cooked. The livingness of the food, the light of the food has been cooked out of it. The proteins change on a molecular level. It changes. Obviously, the human beings have adapted to being able to process cooked food, because we wouldn't be here if we couldn't get something out of cooked food. And there's a ton of healthy people on the planet that eat cooked food. But I mean, no, I don't think there's anybody that can really deny that before there was fire, we were still eating food somehow, and we were plucking and pulling. So if we get to that place, that's the difference. It's just much more pure, way more available for the system, and you have to eat way less of it. Like way less. If you eat mainly a raw diet, you're eating way less food.
Tell me 5 reasons for why I need to do exercise. 5 reasons.
I mean, that's the big thing in my own life. I went through I thought I broke my back like 5 years ago, and I wasn't able to move for almost 2 years, and implementing regular exercise into my life is the greatest thing that I can do for myself at this current time in my life. I was in so much pain, and exercise is everything. First one, the body's meant to move. Your body will not heal unless it's moving. Your lymphatic system can only be moved through movement. Your lymphatic system does not It's not a circulatory, it's not like your circulatory system. It's not being moved by your heart. So your lymphatic system can just sit stagnant. It must be moved. Breath and lungs are a huge way to move your lymph. So we must move our bodies to exercise those organs that are move our lymph. The fourth one is we must continue to fight against the gravitational or whatever that is. Some people are like, there is no gravity, whatever. We must continue to evolve our bodies. And the last one is the mental, you just feel better, period. And everybody knows that. Everybody nowadays knows that you feel better after you work out.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the IQ. Two more things. I want to ask you. I want to ask you about animal products. What do you think about?
About what?
Eggs. About animal products. Eggs.
Oh, animal products.
Eggs, milk, cheese, and meat.
I think pasteurized milk is horrible for the human body. I do not align with cheese. I mean, it just makes no sense to me at this point anymore now that I know about food. But I personally don't get into the vegan versus non-vegan debate because we always have to look at where you are as an individual and where you're living. And one thing that we cannot deny, whether you're a vegan or non-vegan, is that the food that is being developed in the world for animal products is not good. If we understood what is being put into the animals before you eat them, trust me, most people would not, if they watched the whole process, they wouldn't want to eat it. So, but I'm also not going to go say to like an indigenous culture or a culture that has been living off the land and fishing in the rivers and all of that, that is in sync with nature in that way, and they have the respect for what they're doing, and they're healthy. You know, that's a totally different debate. People get so caught up in like it's one thing for everyone. But I live in the United States, and I say that the best diet for me in the modern world is the plant-based diet that I have found. And I have seen people get healthier and better from the path that I have walked. And that's all I have is my experience. But I do not think, I think that the foods that people are eating, the animal products, are beyond just being animal products. The animal products with them are so toxic. So it's a very big element. But the milk, the pasteurized milk thing, I mean, I'm just like, I don't even know how I don't know how it's considered like healthy. If you, because I studied organic farming, and when I was going to these dairy farms, I was like scratching my head. I'm like, and this is before I was plant-based. I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, this is, first of all, the milk is heated to like 200 and something degrees. It is literally boiled. And milk is 87% water and 7% fat. And there's a little bit of the other vitamins in there, like the smallest amount. And so when I was going to these dairy farms and I was watching the process, I was like, this is like not what I like. This is gross. This is disgusting. Dairy farms are disgusting.
Yes.
And then I started to like, I came out of organic farming, and then once I got really sick, I had to change the way that I was eating. Dairy was the first thing I let go of. And whether you want to be plant-based or not, I recommend everyone, because I work with people that aren't plant-based. Sure, I can help you no matter who you are, but I still am going to recommend no dairy. 100%. And that includes cheese.
The last question, Michael. How a day for your life look like for the morning until night?
I wake up, I will typically hit my system with some water, like lemon water and juices, and until about like 11 a.m. And then it might either be a smoothie or some fruit, but I typically like let me see. It's 3:15 my time now.
Yes.
So my day looks like I'll get up in the morning and I'll do some very simple movements to get my joints moving, and I'll just drink liquids, whether it's lemon water or juices or fruit might be involved, until like 11 a.m. or noon. And then I might have a smoothie with fruit or maybe some vegetables or like a green powder. And then I typically will eat, like it's 3:16 now and I haven't eaten anything. I'll go have a meal probably after this. It really depends on my day, because if I've been talking for an hour. If I knew I was going to be doing something like this, I don't want any food in my system. I
Why?
want to be clear. I want to be light. But if I know, like I have nothing more for the day other than I want to do some exercising, so I'll go have like a meal and then digest it, and then just probably liquids or fruits for the rest of the day too. Yeah, that's probably where I'm at.
I learned so much from you, Michael, today. I thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you for reaching out. It was great to to connect with you again. Another Hippocrates family friend.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Bye. Bye.